Good evening. We're going to do it a little different tonight, for as you may know, evil is afoot. Let me start off with a verse. Another year, another night, a new opportunity to cause fright. As the monsters creep from the fire, deep within the foggy mire, one can only wonder if it's the devil himself coming from yonder. Welcome to FenixFire's Halloween Special! Let me introduce our guests for tonight. Troyan, Demon of the Night. Slimer, Ectoplasmic Terror. Bloody Mary, Ghost from Beyond the Mirror. Moloch, Abomination of Ammon. Ikuturso, Sea-Dwelling Leviathan. Herensuku, Fiend from the Sky. As the critters team up for trouble, they search a trainer to make it double. Stumbling across an unsuspecting one, they prowl closer in the midnight sun. Revealing his name is Aardvark, the trick-or-treaters have found their mark. As both trainers meet for battle, Troyan takes the initiative for the monster team, while Aardvark opens up with Staraptor. With either close combat or U-turn being able to deal hefty damage, I quickly recall my demon Vigilicent, while the foe opts for U-turn to gain momentum, allowing him to immediately swap in a counter. Trading his bird in for another, namely Zapdos, the enemy can once again threaten my Banshee with a super effective attack. Luckily for me, the sandstorm damage is able to reveal that my foe does not carry leftovers, thus excluding many defensive sets it might run. Fearing a powerful Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, I retreat once more in favor of Nidoking. Despite its offensive demeanor, Zapdos actually plants a substitute, safeguarding it for only a quarter of its HP. Packing the Gen 4 move Heatwave, Zapdos is able to scourge Nidoking for ample damage. As my beast contracts a burn in the process, I lash out with a fire attack of my own, breaking the foe's makeshift. With Life Orb and Sandstorm sapping away at Zapdos' health, it's definitely not leaving this skirmish unharmed. Yet, unable to outspeed his legendary Pokemon, Nidoking falls to another Heatwave attack. This sets the score to 5 versus 6. Severely weakened by the previous engagement, Hydreigon swoops in on its prey. As Zapdos tries to counter me in a last act of strength, my Pokemon charges it with Fire Blast, balancing out the score again. Onto Hydreigon's speedy set, Aardvark chooses to send forth Suicune. Unable to effectively damage the foe, I once again deploy my Jellicent, while the adversary tries to improve its stats with Calm Mind. Unwavered by this display, I ready my Jellicent to use Psych Up, copying any of the opponent's stat changes. A useful move, especially on this Pokemon packing Recover, as it can turn the tables on many who wish to set upon it. Uncommonly enough, Suicune uses Toxic while my Spirit utilizes the aforementioned move. Baffled by this attack, I'm beginning to wonder if Suicune is even packing Rest, as either that, Roar or Ice Beam are still viable options for the last move slot with Calm Mind, Toxic and the obligatory Water move accounted for. With the new sleep mechanics being punishing to rest-only users, I take my chances and try to damage Suicune as much as possible. The lower its HP, the easier I'll be able to eliminate it later on, particularly with Sandstorm cancelling out my opponent's leftovers recovery. As the foe reveals Ice Beam as its last attack, Rest is now out of the question, giving me a chance to eliminate Suicune as long as I continue pressing the attack. Even though Jellicent's condition is weakening rapidly and I'm only inflicting minimal damage, any damage is always better than none. As the struggle continues, neither Pokemon relents, with Suicune proceeding to set up and Shadow Ball inflicting less and less damage. The battle grows darker with each passing moment for the monster team. Unable to endure another turn of toxic damage, I shift my monster for Tentacruel. Not only will it take minimal damage from both Ice Beam and his stab attack, immunity to Toxic provides my Leviathan a unique niche against this custom Suicune, even after several Calm Minds. As both competitors ready for battle, my Sea Dweller is able to strike first with Scald, fortunately for me, immediately burning the foe, hampering its durability even more. Even with 3 calm mines under its belt, Suicune's Ice Beam fails to inflict serious damage. Surrounded by a sandstorm and engulfed in flames, Aardvark can only watch how his Pokemon succumbs to the diabolical terrors. Backed into a corner, yet keen on dealing as much harm as it can, I reckon my foe will want to unleash his stronger Stab Water move. Therefore I switch my beasts back, allowing Jellicent to mend itself with Suicune's Volley. With Jellicent slightly back on its feet, Aardvark hasn't forgotten my Psychic attack. Dreading I might take his powers and sow destruction, the opponent quickly falls back and brings in Latios. Not interested in Suicune's power to begin with, I order my Pokemon to recover, restoring it for the next engagement. As the sandstorm once again reveals critical information, this time in the form of the enemy packing leftovers, I fear my foe will want to take advantage of Jellicent again and set up. Sick but not afraid, my Phantom brings the fight to Latios as it tries to replicate the scenario with Zapdos. Providentially, Shadow Ball does provide Jellicent enough power to muscle through Latios' replicas, denying it any advantages over switch-ins I might send out. Although Toxic will eventually wear my Ghost down, I must press on so that its teammates might prevail. Knowing Jellicent won't back down, Aardvark charges with Draco Meteor, vanquishing my already weakened Ghost from play. With another monster defeated, the scoreboard reads 4 versus 5. Although Draco Meteor is Latios' most powerful move, it kinda defeats the purpose of a set focused on longevity with leftovers and substitute. Dragon Pulse or Life Orb might have been wiser. Enfeebled by its previous all-out attack, I let loose Tyranitar. As it hungers for its weakened prey, the enemy quickly tries to muster a defense in the form of substitute. Undaunted by this attempt, my demon strikes with pursuit, burying all hopes for Latios to ever escape its wrath. Seeing how Latios' substitute was easily dispatched, I figured my opponent would want to inflict as much damage as possible in the next turn, before falling to Tyranitar's blows. A window of opportunity I cannot ignore. As Latios fires another Draco Meteor, it fails to do any significant damage, thanks to my Pokemon's EV spread and the foe's already crippled special attack stat. Amused by this distraction, my Archfiend throws down Stealth Rocks to further tighten the noose around the adversary's team. As Latios tries to slip away, my demon's able to blindside it on retreat with Pursuit, demolishing it and bringing the score to 4 versus 4. With one flyer down, another quickly takes its place to dispatch its fury. Still requiring my monster to combat the foe's Heatran, I don't take any chances and replace it with my Tentacruel, which the foe handily exploits by striking hard with Brave Bird. Taking critical damage, my Pokemon can only watch as it is ripped to pieces. Strangely enough, Aardvark retreats his Pokemon as rapidly as it appears in favor of Suicune. Perhaps preserving it to counter Hydreigon or Tyranitar later, I cannot tell, as my foe still had Sizzle to deal with both handily. With only little HP to spare, Suicune takes center stage, where it finally succumbs to its wounds, turning the tide of the battle to 4 versus 3. As the Raptor makes another sortie after Suicune's defeat, my competitor decides to switch up moves and lock itself into close combat. Inflicting only a tiny bit of damage thanks to my typing and build, the Leviathan chills the foe with Ice Beam, adding another kill to the scoreboard and leaving it at 4 versus 2. With Aardvark steadily losing Pokemon, his options are dwindling rapidly. As Scissor comes into play, it is finally able to eliminate Tentacruel with Bullet Punch. As soon as the game reveals his Pokemon is packing leftovers as well, I fear the adversary might try to use Swords Dance and destroy the rest of my feats now that both my water Pokemon have been vanquished. Determined not to provide him such opportunity, I send in Hydreigon to threaten the foe with Fire Blast. Even though leftover Scizor can pose serious trouble from this point on, it won't be able to KO now that it's lacking the Choice Band. Predicting the enemy will want to conserve Scizor for now and evade the attack, I opt for U-turn as Scizor is recalled for Heatran, allowing me to gain some momentum. As I prepare another vicious assault after Heatran protected itself, Aardvark quickly burns Tyranitar to cut its prowess. Even with said major status alignment, I am still able to deal decent damage with my super effective blow. Although the duel at hand is looking favourable, I'm positive the enemy will want to swap Scizor back in to capitalize on Tyranitar's weakened state. As predicted, my foe goes with Scizor, an act I quickly remedy by swapping in Gengar. Even though Gengar has little hope of winning, It must inflict as much damage as possible before the foe is able to overwhelm me entirely. As Bullet Punch fails to kill due to no choice band, Focus Blast is able to inflict massive injuries, putting me a step closer to defeating the Red Menace. With the follow-up attack finishing Gengar off, the score falls to an evenly matched 2 vs 2. As Hydreigon replaces its fallen teammate, I am still wary Heatran might hop in again or my Fire Blast be missing. Therefore, after Aardvark completes his Bullet Punch attack, I opt to launch a Draco Meteor. Although resisted, my Fiend's massive special attack is able to subdue the foe's Pokémon, leaving him with only Heatran to spare. Forced to combat the remainder with his last Pokémon, I recall my Demon to wall it completely with Tyranitar. Lacking rest or leftovers ensures me a victory in the long run with relative ease. If it were to carry either, or even both, he would have definitely had a chance to turn the tables on me. Nevertheless, Aardvark would have needed to bank on Lava Plume instead of Will-O-Wisp to cripple Tyranitar, making it far less likely to get burnt. Earth Power is another move that could have troubled Tyranitar, but Hydreigon would shrug both ground and fire moves off with relative ease. As the opponent tries to stall out defeat by using Protect, the demon patiently awaits the opportunity to pounce. After all, none can escape its terrible gaze. With my Pokémon ending Heatran's life, the match concludes in a 2 vs 0. That was the Halloween special for this year, and I hope you enjoyed the extra touches in the intro. As you may have noticed, the team consisted of only Ghost, Dark and Poison type Pokémon, mostly to stick with the atmosphere. Was a bit challenging, but that's what makes it all the more fun, I'd say, as it really tests your team building abilities. If you'd like to see more, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. Have a blast tonight, and remember... Watch your back!